You're listening to Allman in the Morning. Common Sense Radio.
I hope that Mexican man is happy with Daddy's job.
Good morning, everybody. Hello. So much to talk about. We've got, as the Trump administration puts the F back in foreign policy and the FU back in fun, we've got Ben Carson stuck in an elevator. Shame on him. Sean Spicer's a Holocaust denier. Ivanka Trump ordered the Syria. These lefties do not know what to do. I explained to you that picture I took of the deer in the parking behind the fence in the parking lot. That's the mainstream media now. They do, instead of a deer in headlights, there are a deer behind the fence looking at you like the dog staring into the phonograph that you see on the old school records. Unbelievable. And then you've got Kennedy. Just back. Kennedy. Welcome with open arms.
Hello.
From doing a triathlon in Hawaii, and now is in Mexico on spring break, and still finding time for the Allman in the Morning show. Hi.
Jamie, I always have time for you. It doesn't matter what tropical paradise I'm lounging in. I will kick away those tequila bottles, even for a moment, just to have some time with you.
I love it. So, by the way, how was the triathlon?
It was awesome. It was the most difficult race I've ever done. It was very hilly, and we had a big headwind on the bike. But I was happy with my time, and even happier to be raising a bunch of money for Leukemia Lymphoma Society.
Oh, good for you. And so then you went on to now it's spring break time, huh, in Mexico? Yeah,
we went back to New York. And then my girls have spring break this week. So, I mean, I'm not going to deny them the beauty and pleasure of another tropical paradise.
I love it.
Horrible parents, Jamie.
Yeah, right. So now, you and me both, I mean, I know that there's a slight bit of trepidation about the direction perhaps we might be going militarily overseas. And hopefully, in my opinion, I'm hoping, although there are rumors, Steve Bannon's on the way out, I'm hoping he stays because he can keep the neocons at bay. But so far, so good with what's happening on the international stage, right?
I really hope that the president's side prevails, that keeps us out of the Middle East, and that's what he has expressed most consistently about foreign policy. I think he echoes a lot of people's feelings that he wants to blow the living crap out of ISIS because they hate us and they hate freedom. But also, I think he understands, and he's stated this position a bunch of times, and I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, that getting into a place like Syria is bad news for us. It's costly. Our soldiers and Marines are going to die. Civilians are going to die. It's going to cost a lot of money. And, you know, when you're talking about $1 trillion infrastructure plan in this country, it doesn't make sense to spark up another couple $1 billion war in another one.
Right. I mean, I honestly, and it might be Pollyannish of me, and people will criticize me for that, but I can't imagine him going back on what I thought was a crucial reason why he was voted in. And that was his non-interventionist approach to foreign policy. And I think I can argue still that even the Tomahawk missile launching, I think, was still defensible from a national security issue. I talked to Judge Napolitano. He said it was absolutely unconstitutional. I understand that, but still, I still believe that one more step would be too much.
I agree with you. I actually agree with the judge about the questionable legality of that.
Yeah.
Since, you know, we weren't attacked, and having an emotional response to something horrific does not justify the beginning of a war. As long as it's not the beginning of a war, I, like you, am much more likely to give him the benefit of the doubt. And if that's it and they can stop there, that's fantastic. And, you know, my worry is that there are people who still have that Bush-era, you know, reworking the globe, rewriting the map mentality, and I fear that those guys are the ones who prevail because, you To them it's easy. Like Lindsey Graham says, we just go out there, and carve out some safe space.
Yeah.
And it's like, what does that mean? Who are you putting in harm's way to do that? It's like, it's not like opening the Restoration Hardware catalog and saying, I'd like a hammock over here and a daybed over there, and that'll be a lovely safe space.
Right.
You're talking about a country in the middle of a civil war where 12 million people have been displaced. 500,000 people have been killed, and it doesn't. The end game is so horrific that if it ends here, fine. But you're absolutely right. If it goes one step further, we could be going down a road that we've been down so many times, and it just proves that desire to colonize is greater than rationality, and that's a bummer.
Yeah, and that's why I'm hoping the approach is whenever Lindsey Graham says, do the opposite. That's usually, that's my sense of it, at least. That's for sure. Yeah, and also I do believe the president, when he did outline the reasons for the tomahawking, when he mentioned some of the national security issues, I was on board. And I did mention at the time, I go, the one thing I didn't want him to say is that he was affected by the pictures because that, as crass as that might sound, I absolutely don't want action to be taken on an emotional level because that's where you can really get into trouble. So that's the issue.
Yeah, and if you ask anyone who's been in battle, they would tell you the exact same thing. It's like, what are you supposed to do when you're under fire? Are you supposed to panic? Are you supposed to have an emotional response, a base emotional response? No, that's when you're supposed to go completely cold and let your rational mind take over. And hopefully that's what happens from here on out, because that's not a justification because, babies die in North Korean concentration camps every single day.
Right.
When, women are raped in these camps by the prison guards, and then their children are suffocated in front of them. And, it's like, if you look, I don't want to sound like George Clooney, but if you look at South Sudan and other parts of the world where atrocities have been committed, is that justification for us to get involved militarily every single time? If you're saying that the picture taunted you, then that is a moral justification, and that's not a reason to go to war. Right,
because ultimately what you're opening yourself up to is somebody like presenting you with a slideshow from around the world, and then suddenly we're immersed in everything. So, have fun down there in Mexico. Enjoy it, and